What is going on, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer and Eric Hansen will be bringing in Tyler Horka in just a second, reacting to the latest college football playoff rankings. Notre Dame moving up. We'll talk about that for a bit later in the show. Landon Tangwall will be joining us, national college football analyst, to break down some all-22 film. You're not going to want to miss that. This show is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, and Academy proudly honors our brave military and first responders for everything they do to protect our nation and serve local communities. Their unmatched dedication and countless sacrifices deserve recognition. From October 19th through today, November 11th, Academy is giving them a salute with 10% off all sports and outdoor purchases at local Academy stores and online at academy.com/discount. Exclusions apply. Let me go ahead and pop up the rankings. We'll look at the projected bracket if it started today. Notre Dame up to number 9, Eric Hansen. About what we expected?
Absolutely. I thought Notre Dame would end up at 9 this week. There are a few surprises more in the lower part of this top 25, and I would say Texas Tech being in front of Ole Miss is a little bit of a surprise, but I could see the committee making a case for Texas Tech being at number 6. And it'll make Joey Maguire happy that his team is in a conference.
We are going to talk about Joey Maguire, something that I did not anticipate saying a week ago, that we're going to be talking about Joey Maguire. I would have said, we're going to talk about Pitt's head coach and remarks that he's going to make, but no, that was predictable. But Texas Tech gets that win over BYU, moving up. I mean, they leapfrog Ole Miss, who either had a bye.
They played Citadel.
Okay, I was about to say they had a bye, or they or they had a virtual bye playing the Citadel. So I don't dislike the move, to be completely honest with you, Eric. I'm okay with that, especially if it shows hey, if you play an FCS team in November, we're going to penalize you for it. I don't hate that.
Well, I think as I look at the teams, Texas Tech, Ole Miss, Oregon, Notre Dame, we're going to learn a lot about everybody but Notre Dame in the last 2 weeks of the season, and Notre Dame this week. And I think it's fair to have some questions about all 4 of them. You look at them at the statistics. If you just look at the metrics of those teams, Ole Miss is the team that you would kick out. Oregon has one of the best defenses in the country. Texas Tech is really good on both sides of the ball. Notre Dame may be the most improved team in the country. And Ole Miss is just Lane Kiffin, a lot of offense. And so I think that those 4 could reshuffle. And again, there's going to be some games that might affect how they shuffle.
Yeah, of course. Looking around at other opponents, or excuse me, other teams that are of Notre Dame relation. USC at 17. Of course, Pitt at 22. So Notre Dame has the opportunity to get another really solid win on its resume. Are you surprised at all with what they did with the ACC teams? Georgia Tech 16, Virginia 19, Louisville 20, of course, Miami 15. Did you agree with what they said on the ESPN broadcast, that maybe that was a correction to the number 18 rank last week, Eric?
I don't know if it's a correction, but I had Miami much higher than 18 last week. I think I had them 14, and I have them around there. I don't have my ballot in front of me. I think they are the best ACC team right now.
Despite them being ranked 7th in the conference. Of course, that's, based on, them losing 2 conference games. But
and again, the conference schedule isn't even, but they'll have their chance to certainly. They play Pitt still, so they have a chance to kind of show that how good they are. I just think they're going to have a real tough time getting into the ACC championship game. And that's where it gets ticklish for Miami. I'm not sure that the ESPN guys pointed that out, that if they don't get in as an at-large team, they may not get in at all, because there's 5 teams ahead of them with just 1 loss. Now, the ACC is squirrely enough that maybe they get in a big tiebreaker with a 2-loss and maybe somehow get that. But you got a bunch of teams that got to lose. Best thing Miami can do is just win out. But I did not agree what they said about, well, if Miami and Notre Dame both end up 10-2, they need to reevaluate, maybe put Miami ahead of that. Well, if you feel that way, then that Miami should be ahead of Notre Dame now. I don't
Yeah.
agree with that, but it should be now. Why are you waiting till they both play Pittsburgh, especially if those scores are similar?
So Miami has NC State at home this weekend. They go to Virginia Tech, and then they go to Pitt. I just don't think that there is a win there. If they run the table, that would vault them ahead of Notre Dame if Notre
I
Dame takes
agree.
care of
Especially
business.
you're assuming both of them beat Pittsburgh.
Right.
And so that doesn't make any sense. If you don't think that if you think there's 6 spots difference in them now, what's going to vault them over Notre Dame? Now, the one that I think is tricky, Mike, is the Georgia-Texas game and Alabama-Oklahoma game. If those, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say I want to dive into that, like what you think the results might be to those games, and then how it's going to impact the top 25. Let's save that for when Horka gets in here.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and look at the projected bracket. Horka is here. Just got the thumbs up from our boy. I mean, this is what we expected, right? I mean, like when Brett McMurphy and whoever else was doing these projected brackets. Oh, excuse me, this is the projected bracket. Oh yeah. If it's hard to, okay, this is the real one. So Oregon would host Notre Dame, and the winner would play Ohio State. Georgia, USF. That's wild for me personally as a USF alum who grew up living around tons of Georgia fans. Ole Miss, Texas in the 7-10, in Texas Tech, Miami. So that would have Miami's the highest ranked ACC team, but right now, Eric, they don't control their own destiny to even get to the title game, which is wild. And of course, no change, Eric, in the top 4. Did you agree with that? I don't know who's tip-tapping away, but
I think not me, but okay, it's.
I didn't realize you put me on here, Mike. That's my bad.
I sure did. That's okay.
That's my bad.
That's all right.
I think the mystery was, would Texas A&M jump over Indiana, given the close game at Penn State, and given that Texas A&M destroyed Missouri, admittedly with Missouri's backup quarterback. But they still have time to kind of make those evaluations. Texas A&M still has Texas at the end of the season and the SEC championship game, and they may reorder those 2 teams. Yeah. And again, Indiana and Ohio State, if they keep winning, they're going to play each other. So you may end up changing those. I think Notre Dame is in the tougher side of the bracket. I think there's more teams they don't match up well with in that side than in the other side.
Oh, completely agree. Yeah, I mean, Ohio State, I personally think is easily the best team in college football. But the top 3, Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, I think that's going to work itself out, like you kind of talked about. Like Texas A&M's either going to lose to Texas or really prove themselves. So if they went out, I think they'll be 2, and I think if Ohio State went out, they're 1. I think it'll be A&M in the 2. Ohio State in the 1, and Indiana around the 3 or the 4. Horka, thoughts on the initial top 20, or excuse me, it's not initial, the second top 25 college football playoff ranking. Any surprises for you? Things you like, don't like?
Yeah, not really on both of those fronts. I'll start here with the projections because that's what we have up right now.
Yeah.
Isn't this so much harder for Notre Dame than last week's? Like, I don't want any part of going to Eugene, Oregon. And then if you win that, what's your reward? You get to play the number 1 team in the country. And I agree with you that Ohio State is far and away the number 1 team in the country.
Tyler, not to interrupt you, but it's a lot different than last week when it was BYU and then, A&M or something. It's a lot
well, I wasn't impressed with BYU, and obviously the committee wasn't either, and they're out of the rankings here. So that's not a surprise. Maybe the Miami people can quiet down for a little bit here because you get the Hurricanes in the field with this projection, which is nice.
But they're projecting them as the ACC champion, not as an at-large team. I should point that out.
But which tells you right there, though, that it's still in front of them. So if you watched Miami in that game, and I only saw the highlights, they played Syracuse this past weekend, right?
Yes.
You could tell maybe there was a little chip on their shoulder type element.
Absolutely.
They were getting after it. And now, is that Can they channel that every single week? We're going to find out. If they do, there you go. You'll get into the college football playoff as the ACC champion. But yeah, that other side of the bracket, man, you're avoiding Oregon, Ohio State, Alabama. And again, I will say the same thing that I said last week. The beauty of this is it is not going to look like this come December 7th or whenever that day is. But I think, Eric, you probably agree with me that like we're seeing a lot of the same teams. So if you're Notre Dame, odds are you're going to play one of these guys that's up on this board right now, because how many of them have carried over from last week? Like 10? 9 or 10 of them are all the same?
There are some games coming up that are really going to affect Notre Dame
talk about
and
that.
how high they can get.
Yeah. So, like we just talked about, it was Texas, Georgia, and
Alabama, Oklahoma, and then there's one on the 22nd, which is USC, Oregon. I think those 3 games affect Notre Dame more than any other game that doesn't involve Notre Dame at this point.
So how do you see those things playing out, and how high Notre Dame can get?
Okay, well, let's start with USC, Oregon. That's the easiest one, because if USC beats Oregon and ends up a 10-2 team, that's really going to boost Notre Dame's best win. It's going to boost Notre Dame's resume. It's also going to knock Oregon behind Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So that gets them a home playoff game, theoretically. Where it can get ticklish is Texas, Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma. If the 2 lower-ranked teams win, are you guaranteed that Alabama, Georgia drop below Notre Dame as losers? I think that's where it could get a little ticklish.
I feel like that's what we talked about last week, Eric. I made that point. Like, if I'm Notre Dame, those teams in the top 5, you guys are good up there. There's no chance in hell Notre Dame's really going to get to the top 5, right? So you guys just stay up there. You're good. Just hang out. Don't lose. Don't drop now, and then other teams rise, like in Oklahoma or Texas, and now what Notre Dame struggles late. No, I'm knock on wood, but Notre Dame struggles late. Like, now what's the discussion? That does get it was sweat one out there late. So yeah, that's a good point.
When you look at the teams beyond Texas and Oklahoma, you don't see a team that really likely could jump Notre Dame. There's
like
not
that has
scenario.
that potential. Okay.
Yeah, like BYU or Vanderbilt. There's just not enough octane to where you would change your opinion about those teams. Georgia Tech beating Georgia would be interesting, but that would knock Georgia below Notre Dame. If Georgia Tech won out, if Georgia Tech beat Pittsburgh, and if they beat Georgia, maybe. But I mean, I think the 2 teams that legitimately would have a chance to jump over Notre Dame are Texas and Oklahoma, and this is a big week for those 2.
Yeah, and they would immediately if they won their respective games this weekend. I mean, are you kidding me? Texas at Georgia in Athens. If the separation is nothing right now, like 9-10, that win is enough for Texas to go over Notre Dame. And I also think OU beating Alabama in Tuscaloosa is the same thing. So you're looking at, and now here's the thing, the probability of both of those things happening, very slim. The probability of one of those things happening, probably very slim. But college football is weird. Y'all know my background. I think Oklahoma beating Alabama is probably more likely than Texas beating Georgia in Athens. So I'm not really sweating out those games if I'm a Notre Dame fan. But also as a Notre Dame fan, I don't know how many of y'all were like at the game in South Bend this past weekend, because there was a heavy rooting interest in Iowa City, Iowa. That game was in Iowa, I believe, with the Hawkeyes having a chance to take down Oregon. And that would have been one domino falling behind Notre Dame, and you would have loved that if you were the Fighting Irish, and that didn't happen. But to the Aussie family's point here in the chat, like USC beating Oregon, that would be cake for Notre Dame, because you've already beaten USC, and then Oregon takes its second loss and tumbles behind you. So to all of that effect, so much can happen in these next 3 weeks of college football. So win your games and buckle in, because the outlook for Notre Dame can still go like any which way.
Yeah. I mean, we're all in the agreement, though. Notre Dame wins out, they're in. What if they look like shit and win? I mean, would you guys still think Notre Dame's in? Sorry for cussing.
I think they'd really have to throw up on themselves against Syracuse and Stanford to drop out of the field. They could cost themselves a seed by not looking good against those two teams, but I don't think they would drop out of the field.
It's just, the question is like, is there enough chaotic things that could happen that could hinder Notre Dame? Because I still do believe there's a little bit of upward mobility issue for Notre Dame. It's like you were rooting so hard for Iowa to beat Oregon because you knew, okay, that's one of the simple things that can happen for Notre Dame to move up. Looking at the rest of the rankings, there's not a lot of those simple things. Like Texas Tech's probably going to win out, go 11-1, get into the Big 12 championship and stay ahead of Notre Dame. Like they just have their resounding moment on Saturday. Ole Miss, who do they have in addition to Mississippi State? You were talking about earlier, Eric.
I don't remember who they have off the top of my head, but I can look it up.
I got it.
It's probably
They have
FCS
Florida.
School.
They have Florida this weekend.
Okay.
Florida's tricky.
They have a bye and then at Mississippi State.
Yeah. So, but you still expect Ole Miss to win both of those games, and like Georgia's Georgia. You wouldn't be shocked if they're 11-1. So, like, who is Notre Dame going to jump at this point? Would have been really nice if Oregon lost, because I don't see Notre Dame really jumping 1 through 7.
Do you guys feel like Notre Dame's kind of destined for this 8-9 game, which is, well, I want to get to the ACC standings in a second, but it just feels like Notre Dame is.
Yeah, I think they would be thrilled to be the home team in that, though.
Yeah, they could be the 8, which would be fine. But
I think they're one of those two. And if what I think about Ohio State is true, and they're, get the Michigan boogeyman off their back and beat Indiana in the Big Ten title game, you're looking at Ohio State on a neutral field, and that would be Marcus Freeman's. Is he in year 4 as head coach, and he would play them for his 4th time? That's wild. What are the freaking odds of that?
When those teams played so few times before that.
Right. So that is, that was my initial thought. Like, I think the 7-10 is a nice matchup.
That's the difference. That's the difference between having to play Ohio State and Indiana, and I'm on record
or a rematch with A&M.
I think Ohio State's going to kill Indiana in the Big Ten championship game. I really do. And at that point, Indiana is no longer the 2. But I still think Indiana, if they go 12-0 and their only losses to Ohio State, they probably still get a bye, 3 or 4.
I agree. Yeah,
I think they will too. And Alabama and Texas A&M still have to play each other in the SEC championship. But none of those things, I think, drop them below. I think, Tyler, you're making a good point. None of them drop below. I think 8 is realistic for Notre Dame to hope for. Maybe 7 is the ceiling, and that would take Ole Miss to do something crazy, or for Texas Tech to lose if they have Cincinnati left. I know either BYU or Texas Tech has Cincinnati left. I think it's actually BYU.
The crack
if the Egg Bowl is in Starkville, Mississippi, then something silly could happen to Ole Miss.
The
more cowbell.
Texas Tech gets the mighty UCF Knights 4-5, and the mighty West Virginia Mountaineers 4-6.
Okay, that's not happening then.
Yeah. All right, let's look at the ACC, and then we're going to move on. That's 7 teams still in the thick of it. Eric, I don't know how much research you've done on this, but what do you think the ACC title game is going to be? Because I am really, really pulling for Duke to win the ACC title game, get ranked 23rd or 24th, and have 2 group of 5 teams, USF and James Madison, rank ahead of them. That would be the best thing of all time. I doubt the committee would let it happen, but how awesome would that be?
SMU's in the thick of that too. I think Duke beats Virginia this week, so I think that knocks Virginia out. Pitt has to sweep those big games that it has against Georgia Tech and Miami. I think there's going to be a weird team plus Georgia Tech. I think Georgia Tech actually makes it in, but they do not profile like a playoff team. They just don't have a good enough defense. I love their head coach. I think he's really good. Man. But see, there's just not a real easy way for Miami to get into a tiebreaker, even if a bunch of those teams lose, because Louisville owns the tiebreaker over Miami. So gosh, if I had to guess, I'd go Georgia Tech, SMU in the championship game. But it could be Duke. It could be Duke. SMU has Louisville and California. So
Okay.
it's not an easy, especially after last week, it's not easy to predict which of those teams are going to finish out. I do think I agree with the committee. I think Miami is the best of those teams. It's just they have 2 losses.
Yeah, in conference.
What I'm staring at here is a cluster of a bunch of teams that I think would do absolutely nothing in a 12-team college football playoff, but
exactly.
One of them's probably going to make. It's like Clemson last year, right? Clemson sneaks in as a 3-loss team by winning the ACC championship game, and then they go on the road and get smoked by Texas. Like, everyone knew that was going to happen in that game. Whoever gets in out of this group, that's awesome. You won some money for your conference, but good luck to you, because you're going to be going somewhere and it's going to be tough.
I definitely did not pick Clemson to upset Texas. I did not do that. Just, it's crazy that we have the top 7 on the screen right now. I'm scrolling 2 schools, and then there's Clemson, the number 10 team right now. And then we got to keep going. Where Florida State, after beating Alabama, is... I lost track. Was that 15th? I mean, that's wild.
It'll be easier to count from the bottom up there. Mike.
Yeah, seriously. Gosh, the ACC is crazy, but I do think, like you said, it will just result in one of those teams getting smacked.
I went to go look at the last time Dabo Swinney had 5 losses. It was his very first season in 2009.
Yeah, that was back when Clemsoning was a verb. They used to say, "Oh, they are Clemsoning."
Good times.
Yeah.
Want to get your guys' reaction to a couple tweets. Brooks Austin, buddy of mine, tweeted out, he does a great job. Fact you won't like: Notre Dame would have an annually easier path to a college football playoff bid if they joined either the Big 12 or ACC, which this account, College Football Kings, responded. Teams like Miami and last year's BYU don't really have the luxury of losing twice and then still getting treated as an unbeatable force who should be ranked in the top 10. So I don't think that's true. Notre Dame has it pretty good right now. Eric, what's your thoughts on this?
That tweet definitely lost me. I was with him. Then I wasn't with him, and then he ended up in a spot. So what is he saying, that Notre Dame is being treated special? Or?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They're being treated as an unbeatable force.
I think, again, when you look at what the criteria is, and this isn't because I cover Notre Dame, I think they deserve to be ranked where they are. I don't think they're an unbeatable force. Otherwise, they'd be number 1. So I don't know where the unbeatable force comes from. Other thing is, everybody that says join a conference, when Notre Dame did join a conference in 2020, they ran the table in the regular season and made the playoff. So I don't get all the whining about Notre Dame not being in a conference. I could see people in the SEC maybe saying, I think the depth of our conference and the depth of our schedules is tougher. I think that's a true statement. There's no question about it.
I mean, didn't Notre Dame beat ACC teams like 30 times in a row until they lost to Louisville a couple of years ago? That's what it would be for Notre Dame if they were in that conference. They would probably schedule.
They went undefeated for years.
Yeah. They'd probably schedule a Michigan, Ohio State, an SEC team in the non-conference. So you're susceptible to losing that game. And then if you do lose an ACC game, then you're in the same boat as some of these other 2-loss ACC teams that are not being favored in the college football playoff rankings. But I still think I agree with Brooks Austin more than I agree with CFB Kings in that every year, especially with Clemson having fallen off, Notre Dame would be the favorite to win the ACC every single year. Like they have shown over however many years since they've had this partial membership that they pretty much own everybody in that conference. And heck, they've even beaten Clemson a couple times in that span as well. And Clemson was the cream of the crop in that conference. So yeah, like Notre Dame would have it easier. I don't know an easier path, or maybe if they were in the ACC. I really believe that.
A lot of people I come into in my personal life, like I don't really respond to, SEC fans on Twitter. It's just a waste of time. But like people I run into in my personal life, friends, family who know what I do for work, they know I cover Notre Dame. Oh, join a conference. Like I would listen to that more if Notre Dame just scheduled group of 5 schools and then maybe 1 or 2 Power 4s. But Notre Dame's literally scheduling all of these big teams. Like their November is weak because no one wants to play Notre Dame like in November. You just have the annual, Stanford game and whatever. But it's always weak in November because of that. Like in the conference game, if you lose your conference championship game and you're a 1 or 2 loss team, you don't really get docked a whole lot. We saw that last year, unless you get just torched. So I just don't get it. People just are annoying.
Well, it's just the whininess of the time of the season. And the funny thing about the join the conference thing, and I've been around it for a long time, is Notre Dame fans will say they need to join a conference when things aren't going well with the team. That was kind of the elixir. Well, let's say when Charlie Weiss's last years as coach, or when Brian Kelly went 4-8, well, they need to join a conference. That would, and so that was kind of the joke. Now, when they do well, then people that are not Notre Dame fans want them to join a conference. And again, there's a 2020 example of them playing a conference schedule and winning every game during the regular season, including beating the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah, I just really agree with Brooks that Notre Dame would have easier if they did play in the Big 12 or ACC. Go ahead, Ty.
If you parachuted Notre Dame into the ACC this year, they are far and away the best team in that conference. Easily. And I get it. They lost to Miami. I hope no Miami fans are watching this because it's so easy for them to clip this. But, they would beat Miami today. And even if they lost to them earlier in the year, they would be the 1-loss conference team that eventually wins you could still win the ACC with 1 loss. That's a doable thing. The SEC champion this year, unless it's Texas A&M that has this magical run, is going to have 1 loss. Like that. It happens. It's okay to lose a conference game. And then same thing. If you parachuted Notre Dame into the Big 12, they would far and away be the best team in the Big 12. I believe if you put Notre Dame up against Texas Tech on a neutral field tomorrow, Notre Dame be favored by at least a touchdown and probably win by 2 or more. I firmly believe that.
One quick thing and then have an ad read. Eric, you know me about the whole Notre Dame versus Miami discussion last week. I liked Notre Dame's ranking above Miami, but I was more on the fence than you were. And then you brought up that point on Sunday about how would you rank like Notre Dame, Miami, Louisville, and Virginia, it's just a complete shit show. Sorry, I got to stop cussing. Of the head to heads, you totally have me on that. Like I'm 100% with you now. Notre Dame for the haters. The ranking, and Eric, I know you guys spit out all these metrics. Now we're big metrics fans. I don't know where we really became these in the Notre Dame social media community. We're all about the strength of record and all this stuff where I've never seen that from Notre Dame fans before. Now we just know these stats like the back of our hand.
So or make them up.
Or make them up. Yeah, sure. But we're all on that. But I really feel like the committee is just eye testing Notre Dame. They're just like, Notre Dame balled out last year, and I do think they use that. They're not supposed to. Maybe they're not supposed to, but I think they use that and how they look now at Notre Dame. Like we talked about recently, Eric. I was like, Notre Dame is just, they made so much noise in the playoff last year. I think they have respect. They have respect from all those ADs and people in the committee.
I think they respect a team that's improving. I mean, when you look at CJ Carr, August, September version to what he is now, okay, plug him back into those first 2 games and what happens in those games. Same with Chris Ash, your boy, and his defense. And you think about how much they've improved. I mean, they are 15th in the country in run defense right now. They have gone from 103rd to 24th in pass efficiency defense. I mean, across the board, you can look at every statistic, and Notre Dame has improved a lot. And especially the statistics for the defense, because they have gone against some really good passing offenses, very prolific passing offenses, and they've just been climbing. And guess what? Now they're finally healthy. This will be the first game that they've played with all their starting defensive backfield since the Miami game.
Tyler,
Do you know what's hilarious is everyone's knock on Notre Dame is the Miami loss, or they've lost their 2 biggest games. What else have they done? Nobody that wants to tear Notre Dame down, and you see it across Twitter all over the place, they don't ever want to get into the conversation of, what if my team had to play Notre Dame tomorrow? Like, because they don't want to play Notre Dame. Like, let's make that the conversation. And I think the committee talks about that a little bit in that room there in Grapevine, Texas, and says, geez, man, like, who wants to play Notre Dame right now? I don't think anybody does.
Yeah.
The coaching in their right minds. Here's an example. I transcribe every word of Pat Narduzzi's press conference, right? And we all know the ones that everyone's rolling with right now, because why wouldn't you? It was a completely asinine thing to say.
We're going to get there in a minute.
If you read between a lot of the lines of a lot of the other stuff he said he doesn't want to play Notre Dame either. And like, there's a part of him that believes that Notre Dame is probably going to win that game, not 100-10, but maybe 50-10. He says they're bigger, they're faster, they're stronger, they're playing well, the quarterback's seeing things well, the defense is improved. Yeah. He's a football guy. He's a lot of things, but he's a football guy. And I know for a fact he'd rather be playing somebody else other than Notre Dame on Saturday, because that is a tough, tough matchup.
Someone on the message board posted a thread tired of the Notre Dame hate. And I commented, let them hate, bro. Just let them hate. Embrace it. They're talking about you because you're relevant. All the people who say Notre Dame's not relevant, they're stupid. They're stupid. All right. This episode is brought to you by ESQ, which is seen on all of your favorite Notre Dame players and coaches. Founded by Notre Dame alum Ga Wang, ESQ is your go-to spot for the best handmade custom suits, sport coats, tuxedos, shirts, and more. ESQ's master tailors combine next-level craftsmanship with the finest fabrics to deliver a fit that's built just for you. Now with showrooms both downtown Chicago and in Winnetka, book your custom fitting at esqclothing.com. Make sure you mention Blue and Gold at your appointment and receive 10% off your entire purchase. There's Marcus Freeman for folks watching on YouTube, rocking his ESQ, a photo taken by Blue and Gold's Mike Singer, believe it or not. esqclothing.com. Thank you guys for sponsoring this week's show. All right, Tyler, you mentioned the Pat Narduzzi thing. I don't want to listen to this again, but let's do it.
Do you feel like this is a must-win for this team when it comes to something?
Absolutely not. It is not an ACC game. I'm glad you brought that up. It's not an ACC game. I gladly get beat 103 or 110-10 in that game. They can put 100 up on us as long as we win the next 2 after that. But again, our focus is on Notre Dame and getting as many wins as we can.
I feel like he started off with this crazy take, and then he realized himself, oh wait, you know what? This is probably not a good thing to say. And he's like, oh yeah, our focus is on Notre Dame. Eric, how ridiculous was this gladly statement by Pat Narduzzi?
Well, he contradicted what he said after the Stanford game going into the bye week and saying what a big game it was. And I think he was trying to maybe take the pressure off his team or whatever. I mean, Tyler transcribed it, so he knows the context a little bit better than me. And he's kind of routinely sticks his foot in his mouth. So it's not, I mean, at least he didn't say this game doesn't mean anything unless Notre Dame joins a conference. So I give him credit there.
I think some people need to realize that there is some context behind the numbers 103 and 110. Earlier in the press conference, one of the reporters brought up the stat, hey, the last 2 times you've played Notre Dame, I think you've been outscored 103 or 110-10. And then Narduzzi was like, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So like 5 minutes later in the press conference, he obviously still had those numbers on his mind, but he still said what he said. He literally said, I would lose to Notre Dame 110-10 if it meant we won our next 2 ACC games, which is just incredibly dumb to me. Because, like, look, you're never going to lose a game that badly, But if you lose a game very badly and then even win those next 2 ACC games and you go to the ACC championship and maybe you win it, Mike, you know the scenario better than me because you're rooting for it so much. Like there's a world where an ACC champion doesn't get in, right?
No, they would at 3 losses.
Okay.
If Pitt loses to Notre Dame even by 100 points, they would still get in if they win out.
It would still just be like, okay, so take the college football playoff out of it then. He literally just went in front of the media and said, yeah, this one doesn't really matter. I don't care if we give up 100 points. That's crazy in any context. That's a head football coach saying that.
Aussie Family says, I think Pitt's coach is hyping his team up by his comments. I think it's the opposite. I don't know how you spin that to hype your team up. It's just weird.
If I'm a player and I walk into that Pitt locker room later that afternoon, I look at him and say, what'd you say, coach? Like, what? I don't want to lose no game 110-10. Like, no way.
Well, I think this game is personal for him, and I think maybe he was trying to put the guardrail on himself, because you think about it, Notre Dame's backup quarterback could be his starting quarterback. He was in their recruiting class, and Notre Dame poached him out of that class. Not only has he lost all 4 times he's played Notre Dame, he lost, I think, the last 3 that they played when Michigan State, he was their defensive coordinator, and they played Notre Dame. So I think he's 0 for his last 7. He's got a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
He's a competitive guy. So
yeah. And he clearly doesn't like Notre Dame. Like I said earlier that he beefed Notre Dame up a lot in this press conference, and you can read every single word that he said at blueandgold.com, by the way. Just look for the Pat Narduzzi transcript. He beefed Notre Dame up, and then other times he played the same game that he was playing with this gladly get beat comment where he's like, oh, yeah, it's just another game type thing. But if you do read between the lines enough, I agree with Eric. He wants this one badly. Yeah. But the crazy thing is the public perception is just going to circle back to that one quote, because I still stand by this. You just can't say that. You can't say that.
It is a big game for Pittsburgh because you beat Notre Dame. It raises the profile of your program and your conference. It also impresses your boss, who's Alan Green, former Notre Dame baseball player. So I think he knows that.
Talking about ceilings earlier, Pittsburgh has one of the highest ceilings. I mean, you beat Notre Dame and Notre Dame and Miami. They do have them both at home. I mean, how high? And then an ACC championship game. Pitt and could Georgia rise. Tech. They play Georgia Tech too?
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, they win out. They could be in that conversation for the 8-9 game. Seriously, I don't think that's ridiculous to say.
I don't think it's ridiculous to say if they won those 3 games. But again, it's
ridiculous to predict it, though.
It's ridiculous to predict it. And then you're saying this is a team that improved. I mean, this is, again, how the committee they look at an improved team. They lost their 2 games when Eli Holstein was their quarterback to West Virginia and Louisville, and they were close games. And now they're saying with Mason Heinschel, they're a different team and they're healthy. They're going to be as healthy as they've been on defense in a while against Notre Dame. They're going to have full strength. So, and the number 3 rushing defense. A lot of their metrics line up. Some of them don't. Some of them you just can't understand how they score when they give up that many sacks and turn over the ball as many times as they do.
Yeah, of course, Notre Dame Pitt, 12 p.m. Eastern time. If you're a YouTube TV subscriber, that dispute is still going on. So Fubo or the ESPN Unlimited, or you got to figure something out. That game is on the ESPN family of networks. All right, one more. So like Narduzzi throwing some shade or whatever at Notre Dame, expected. Joey Maguire, I did not expect this. I'll roll the clip.
I have so much respect for
let me pause it. This is Texas Tech head coach Joey Maguire after his team beat BYU.
I have so much respect for BYU. I do, man. They're I was really excited whenever they joined the Big 12 because I think that they carry a lot of weight and a lot of respect. I think that I have a lot of respect for them entering a conference and not playing an independent schedule like other people. Y'all already know who that is. And so I have a lot of respect for that. I mean, they're earning their right just like everybody but a couple of people in the nation are earning their right through conference play, and playing in some really tough places.
I mean, playing in tough places. I guess Notre Dame didn't play A&M on the road last year, or played at Miami to start the season. I guess we just dreamt those things. Horka, as the resident Texas Tech fan, what's your reaction?
Yeah, I don't know if you could tell by any of my tweets or my column or anything.
Dude,
but,
your tweet absolutely went crazy. 1.3 million is wild.
But I take more pride in the tweet that has the link to the column that I was referencing, and I tweeted a couple things today. So this is just context that maybe Joey Maguire would be interested in. Notre Dame has opened on the road versus a ranked team in 3 of 4 seasons during the Marcus Freeman era. In those same years, Texas Tech and BYU, which Joey Maguire was clearly pumping up so much there in his little rant, played 5 FCS teams and a 1-11 USF. That's what their record was at the end of 2022 when I believe BYU played them. Notre Dame has played 1 FCS team ever. And they're going on the road, like Mike mentioned, to Miami. They went to Texas A&M last year. They went to Ohio State in 2022. And Joey Maguire wants to get up there and say they're not taking a hard enough path to the college football playoff. It's a bunch of nonsense. There's a lot of other words that you could say there. And there's even more to the story, too. What else did I say?
I like how you tagged him, by the way. I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah, I tagged him in that one. But, like,
Did he answer back?
no, he didn't answer back. He probably didn't even see it. But, that was just for the effect. And like, here's the bottom line. If you just want to talk 2025, the Sagarin ratings, I believe Jeff Sagarin's very highly respected in the analytical world. I don't know.
He used to be
that goes
part of
into
the
it.
BCS formula.
Yeah, okay, there you go. So he has a strength of schedule metric. And Notre Dame's strength of schedule is number 22 in the nation, and Texas Tech is number 68.
Well,
Like-
here's where I have a beef with what he said. I mean, how he started about respecting BYU, I agree with all that. And I agree BYU brings a lot to that conference. That was a good get for the Big 12 to add them. And they're across all their sports, they're good. But again, you have 16 teams in that conference, and we'll throw out the AP poll where Iowa isn't ranked. We'll give them credit for playing Iowa. I mean, they've played 4 in their 48 non-conference games. They've played 4 top 25 teams outside of their conference, and they've won 1, the Iowa State-Iowa game. That's it. Notre Dame has as many top 25 wins as does the whole Big 12 put together. The Big 12 may be better than we think. They may be worse than we think. But how do we know? Because they haven't challenged themselves with the out-of-conference games. That's where I have a beef with them. I mean,
That's
the
why-
American Athletic Conference, those guys go out and play people. That's one of the reasons why I respect South Florida so much and why I've ranked them, is because they're like, okay, we're going to go play Miami. We're going to go play Florida. We're going to go play Boise. We're going to go play people. So I have a lot of respect for that conference.
And then, like, I got to this point a little earlier in the show. Joey Maguire would have even more respect. Like he would love it even more if Notre Dame joined the Big 12, because Notre Dame would. It's almost like these coaches are like guilt tripping Notre Dame into joining their conference just so they can have the power of Notre Dame in their conference. Like, oh, we hate Notre Dame. Oh, but we would love it if they wore the same patch on their jerseys as us, and we got some of their revenue share money because they're bringing it in. It's hypocrisy is what it is. And like, and another thing, yeah, they want them in the conference, but the worst week of their year, if Notre Dame was in the Big 12, the worst week of Joey Maguire's year would have to be game planning for these student athletes and these coaches, and like it would be hell on earth for Joey Maguire. I'm telling you right now, it'd be a lot harder than preparing for the BYU team they just beat. I think Notre Dame's a better team than BYU. The College Football Playoff Committee just told us that today too. Notre Dame has 2 losses, but BYU's ranked behind Notre Dame. So like Joey Maguire, he wants his cake, but he doesn't want to eat it too, because he doesn't want any part. If Notre Dame is the cake, he doesn't want any part of being around that cake. Like that's just the facts.
Why doesn't he complain that UConn doesn't join a football conference?
Well, he did say a couple schools, so I mean, yeah, UConn getting a stray bullet after beating Duke, by the way. Horka, appreciate all your time. I'm going to let you get back to some writing, my friend.
See you guys.
All right, that's Tyler Horka, Blue and Gold beat writer. Super Saiyan Nick, we get respect from most SEC coaches, funny enough. Yeah, Nick Saban has loved up on Notre Dame all year. That is very much for sure. Super Saiyan Nick, of course, former SEC coach, but thank you very much for the $2 super chat. Eric, do you want to talk to Landon Tengwall?
I would love to.
All right, well, let's bring in my buddy Landon Tengwall. It's been a couple weeks, my friend, since we had you on this show, but I know you're going to be fired up to talk about Jeremiah Love's touchdown. I don't know what clips you have to show. I'm sure that's one of them.
It absolutely is. You know what? It's always a good day watching Notre Dame film. That's where I go to my happy place to watch some Notre Dame offense. Eric, how are we doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing great. Does Jeremiah Love need to join a conference?
No, I think he's all right. I don't know. It wouldn't. I'm listen. You guys know I played for Penn State. I don't think it would make no sense for Notre Dame to join a conference. And we were all a part of that when James Franklin said that, sitting directly next to Marcus Freeman while talking about his hairline as well. And it didn't go so hot for old James Franklin.
Landon, this is how old I am. I was covering college football when Penn State was an independent.
We used to do a lot of people used to be independent. And from my understanding, the main reason Penn State was their other sports. They wanted their other sports to be able to be funded and all that type of stuff. But Notre Dame's done a great job. I wouldn't give it up. I wouldn't give up all that money.
Bobby Knight was not a big fan of Penn State joining the conference either. He said it was a camping trip.
If you guys are not familiar with Landon, former Penn State offensive lineman, national college football analyst, does a really good job. Former top 100 overall player. Look at On3, the parent company, ranking you lower back in you were what, 2021 class? Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Look at
ranking
Rivals.
Lower.
Rivals got me top 50. I appreciate that.
Yeah. That's
which
when
Rivals is now on 3. So, hey, all one and the same here.
Yeah, well, let's just go with the highest one. You're the number 40 overall player in the country. And it was fun going through all of my tweets about Tengwall back in the day. I was one of the first high-profile recruits that I covered, which was a lot of fun.
One of the few that you didn't buy breakfast for.
Thank you, Eric. You got to it before I could even get to it.
Damn it, I walked into that one. I could have avoided that topic, but here we are. All right, you want to talk some film so we don't have to talk breakfast?
Let's talk some film. We might as well get into it. It's always good to talking film.
All right. See what you got for us.
Here we go. All right. This is the J Love touchdown. And I just want to pause it. After already just spinning off one guy, I just want to pause it right here and just be clear that he scores a touchdown on this play. That is just utterly ridiculous. To watch it from this angle, it's amazing. There's not much else to say about this play. I just had to put it on here. There's not much analysis I can give on this. Just greatness from Jeremiah Love.
Greatness, balance. I mean,
it is bad. I mean, just like the first guy going back. Where does he come from? Yeah, it comes right off the edge. I mean, right there. Get off me. It's like a stiff arm and a spin move together. So he's sitting down here on the dirt looking kind of sad. And then, like I said, to get to this point, I mean, I feel for Jeremiah Love. It's like, okay, where do I go from here?
Yeah, some fortune, some balance, some. We're
gonna get to his balance here in a second because
can you bring it back to the beginning, Landon? Yeah. Can you tell me about the blocking? Was this just Navy bringing more than Notre Dame can block, or I mean, there's a D end here who just goes unblocked. He shoots through the tight ends.
Yeah, so it seems like there's a miscommunication here because it seems like Emil Wagner is like, hey, I'm going to block this guy, but Raridon's like, okay, I'm going to block this guy too. And then you get a loop here by the outside tight end. So it's like there was some type of miscommunication here between the tackle and the tight end. The memo was not got, and that's why there was a free guy just right in Jeremiah Love's face. Get off me. Look at you on the ground. Come here.
Hey, roll. Comment here, Landon. Aussie Family says, I do think the new running back coach has greatly helped Love with the developing O-line. Of course, Jaywan Sider really, really well. You sat in position meetings with him. He recruited you to Penn State. Do you agree with that statement?
Absolutely. I still talk to Jaywan Sider weekly. That's my guy. Absolutely love everything he does. He is the best coach I've been around, not only from like a coaching standpoint, but like a player's coach, where he's going to be there. He's like a mediator between the coaches and the players, like a really good locker room guy, and then just one hell of running backs coach. So I think he has absolutely helped these running backs get better. Real quick, I just got to look at CJ Carr here. Watch CJ Carr. Look at him put his hands on his head, and he's just like, oh my God, like, like how did that just happen? That was everybody's reaction right there. All right, next play. This is, you want to talk about balance. So if you watch here, Absher, by the way, had a fantastic day. But if you watch here, the centers, kind of gets overextended, and leg is just in the hole, and Love sees, okay, here's the hole. So I'm just going to right over top of it as he's in the air, trucking this guy, spin off of the truck, and then just go get vertical, break another tackle, and this guy's got to carry me. I mean, just utterly ridiculous to see this and be like, all right, that's fine. I'm just going to jump through it in the air. No, like, this is just so just fantastic balance to not even touch the ground, still be in the air, spin off of it. This guy over here is on the dirt now, break another tackle, and then pressing vertical for more yards. I mean, I don't know if there's people that are better at the running back position in college football than Jeremiah Love. I'd like to see him, because I don't think there is one.
Love
Just
it. Eric, any thoughts so far on these first couple plays that you want to chime in on?
I'm just fascinated with your analysis. It was great to hear what you had to say about Sullivan Absher. I think he's been very quiet, and I think it's because he's been quietly effective. You haven't heard anybody complaining about him. I thought he had done a really good job in the first two games as well. And we talked to Coach Joe Rudolph tonight and Anthony Knapp. I did want to ask you something about Knapp when we get done with the Jeremiah Love stuff, because I do have a question for you about him.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go one more here. This wasn't a superstar play necessarily, but I just want you to see poor 58 here. We're lined up, Love one-on-one. This poor chap, he's serving the country. It's Veterans Day. Thank you very much for your service. Whoop-bop!
That's make you miss in a phone booth.
And he was fighting. There was almost shades of that Penn State run here from Jeremiah Love, but just to see him get one-on-one with this guy and the way that he shook this dude, I mean, he didn't stand a chance. And to just be able to jump from where he's at, that, like, his jump cuts are probably the best part of his game. I don't even know what's the best part, honestly, at this point. It's amazing.
Of course, for folks listening to this as a podcast, we're watching film. I'm sorry, you guys just got to go to YouTube. Go ahead, Eric.
It's so interesting to watch his evolution as a player, because as a freshman, he had the same speed. He did not have this kind of strength, and he has made himself so much of a better player because of his strength, and just improves every game, every year.
I'm sorry, Landon. Can you go back to that last? I don't want you to let it roll. I just don't want to get hit by what.
Yeah.
Look at 33. That's Matt Jeffrey, the former walk-on, who I believe is on scholarship now. A lot of why is Notre Dame playing Matt Jeffrey? Why can't you put in someone else? That's why. I love seeing that, man.
Absolutely. Beautiful. All right. You want to talk about Sullivan Absher? Check him out right here. This, I was having a good chuckle today. Watch this. He is going to take this slanting defensive lineman. He's a 3-tech, slants inside, just takes it where he wants to go. This guy's slipping and sliding, goes on top of it, and watch him. He goes for the mount here, mounts him. Oh my God. That's illegal in all 50 states. I just watch it from that. And so what's what's impressive here is this is what you call collecting movement. So he's slanting from almost a 4-eye, a wide 3-tech, to now the inside. And watch Absher kind of wait, collects it, and takes him where he wants to go, and just drives us out of there. Look at the hole that's right there for Price, but just watch this. This is even the better angle. Buries him in the dirt, and like he's on the side. You see he's on the ground here. Let me reposition myself. Be careful. This video might get taken down, Mike, if we leave this up for too long, because I don't know. You might get I don't know. This is going to be rated R here in a second.
Said a couple bad words, but this is
When Nelson did that
level.
once, I saw.
I mean, it's just beautiful. All right, now we get to my favorite stuff, as always. Our guy, CJ Carr.
Wow, that's a nice ball.
Just dealing dimes. So what I want you to watch it one more time from the end zone view here. Beautiful football here. Look where he puts that thing. only where his guy can get it. High point, perfect. But what I want you to notice here is when Carr looks out here, he's looking, all right, I have basically whatever. This is a 15-yard, curl, comeback hitch, whatever you want to call it. And this flat, he's playing the flat here. This guy's the deep defender. This guy's the flat defender. And so what he sees is he feels fine. And then CJ Carr starts to see, as he's getting ready to throw, this flat defender starting to drift back. So he can't throw what a normal, curl route would be, which would just be a line drive right here, because this guy's in the middle. So as he's throwing, he kind of changes his trajectory to now lead it outside and up, instead of being like and the wide receiver just adjusts and feels like that's the feel for the game that CJ Carr is building, and the rapport that he's building with his wide receivers, that, yeah, this is supposed to be kind of a line drive, but you can see this here, the touch he puts on it as it comes out. It's got a little bit of touch on it, and it doesn't get much better than that right there.
Landon, is that something where, like, offensive coordinator Mike Denbrock is seeing him about to throw that ball, and he's like, no, that's covered. But then CJ's just better.
I would say yes. If I'm looking at my quarterback lining up like that right there,
like, look at Eli Raridan, he's wide open in the flats.
Yeah. I'm like, no, get down to your check down. Oh wait, okay, we got a baller at quarterback. We're all good. Puts it exactly like I said, only where his guy can get it. I mean,
yeah, this is crazy to me, Eric, because like you think about like what, I don't know if your sources said the same, but I know mine did. Like CJ could get trouble in fall camp, trusting like just himself a little too much at times, like forcing some balls. And man, we just really haven't seen that this season. He's pretty much, I mean, yes, he's throwing some picks, but he's, for the most part, he's really taking care of the football. And then you have a throw like this that maybe by the book you're not supposed to make, and then he throws that football.
Just the stages that he goes through in terms of his growth are just so fast. I've seen quarterbacks, both Quinn and Clausen, for example, make these progressions, but it's taken years for that to happen. He's doing it within his first season as a starter, and it's super fascinating to watch him. One thing that we've seen the past couple days that he's done that Mike Denbrock really emphasized during the bye week, the second bye week, was no more hero plays where you're throwing it up for grabs or you're risking a fumble, or sometimes you just got to eat it.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing that extracted. So we're seeing not only great things being added to his game, we're seeing the crummy things being subtracted from his game.
All right, you got some more, Landon?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
All right, let's roll it.
All right. Any long CJ Carr touchdown, it's getting shown on film here at with my boys Mike and Eric. We're having a good time here. This is a dime. This is what we call a dime. By the way, it's not a coincidence that on a lot of these really nice long touchdown passes, this is what the pocket looks like. So shout out to these guys. You got a couple linemen filling in that aren't even starters. I mean, just right in the bread basket. Just beautiful.
Yeah, it looks like a good play design too with the double posts.
So what this does here? Yeah, so what you got is you got cover 3, right? So each guy has 1/3 of the deep half, and so the hope is, especially because these guys all bite on the play action. When you're running the ball effectively, play action works a lot better. So what you get here is that this shorter post grabs this high safety. That's the plan. This is more of a decoy route really than anything. And you know that you're trying to hit this post over the top of him. So he follows this down. It's exactly what you want. And Notre Dame, Navy's, like I said, it's, thank you for your service, but, we're going to throw it right over top of you. Here you go.
Yeah. KK Smith, second career touchdown, I believe. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Here we go. I got to show you this one. This is the PI, guys. Watch. Imagine you have a man here that is just running full speed at you. Look at this guy. That's so scary. CJ Carr might lean back a little bit, but he's not afraid. Look at him get this ball off. Just lay it up. It's obviously it's not a perfect pass, but just enough to where you can jump up, force the DPI. I mean, that's great. I mean, you watch this guy coming from depth. There's no one to pick him up. To be able to release it there from the 42 and just give your guy a chance as you're getting whacked. A lot of quarterbacks are either taking that sack, the ball's going in the dirt. They are not getting the ball up like this as they're getting hit. I mean, as he still hasn't released the ball yet, and this guy's fully tackled around his kneecaps.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like once he makes that move backwards is when I feel like that's when he realized this guy is in his face. It's when he saw him. But yeah, still has the the strength to get that ball downfield and
Just
the
great
guts.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely takes guts to get that one done. And then what do we got right here? Oh, this is the deep ball. Early on.
First drive. Yeah.
Just a pretty rainbow right here. Watching these from the end zone view is always a treat. Once again, you're bringing what? If you're Navy, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys. Look at that protection for our guy right here. Wind that thing up. Perfect mechanics. I mean, come on. In stride, right in the bucket. Doesn't get much better than that right there.
Eric, I'm like, man, when we watch these clips, so many of them, CJ is just so protected. I know he wasn't on the play before, but Eric, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on like the pass blocking this year compared to last year, and if CJ is just getting better protection or what the numbers say.
I think he is getting better protection. I also think that he is better even at this age than Riley Leonard in terms of sliding protections. I think he's got
like CJ right now compared to Leonard last year.
Correct.
Wow.
I think Riley Leonard learned a lot from being around Mike Denbrock and learned a lot of football, and it's helping him make an NFL roster, and he's an amazing athlete. But I think CJ is so good at recognizing defenses and checking out a crummy plays, not just into better plays, but sometimes great plays. And it's going to be really interesting, Landon, I think, when they play Pittsburgh, who's the number 3 rushing defense in the country. They blitz like crazy. Their linebackers are really good. And how that ends up looking, because Pitt's rush defense is elite. Their pass defense is so I think that's going to be really interesting. So what would be the challenge if you were trying to rattle CJ Carr with Pitt's personnel? I don't think you've studied them, but just knowing what they do well, they're in top 5 in tackles for loss. They're 18th in sacks. They're 3rd in run defense. How would you try to defend him?
Yeah, admittedly, I think the only Pitt All-22 I've watched was the backyard brawl against West Virginia, so that was a lot earlier on. I think the main thing I'd be looking, I don't know, does Pitt have any good edge rushers?
They are decent with their edge rushers. I mean, they spread out the sacks, but the 3 linebackers are their best pass rushers, I think.
Interesting. Okay. I think the number one thing that I know you wanted to talk about him, but I am interested to see Anthony Knapp starting to play against some real decent defensive ends, and Emil Wagner at that too. I think obviously this year we've seen them struggle at times when they're playing high level defensive ends, just kind of dealing with speed. They both kind of struggle to get out of their stances. So I think the biggest thing I would try to do is just create one-on-one matchups with them. And obviously you're going to send those linebacker blitzes through the A gap and through the B gap. And can they pick that up? But the biggest thing was, be trying not to allow them to get into what we were just watching. He full slid the offensive line to the right and, really protected himself, and it made it easier for CJ Carr and had that clean pocket. Whatever Pitt wants to do, my biggest thing that I would try to accomplish is, hey, let's get one-on-ones for us versus these tackles. So that's kind of would be my mindset coming into this one.
So what I wanted to ask you about Anthony specifically, so I'm doing a feature on him, and I sat down and talked with him tonight. I had a chance to talk to Joe Rudolph, and I said, what was your biggest takeaway from the Miami game, which you really struggled, and what's your journey like been since then? And he said, I let my team down. He goes, I thought I was working hard. I didn't know what hard work looked like until after being that embarrassed against Miami and getting that dominated. And he said, and I took my work to a whole new level. I'm wondering if that is typical of an offensive lineman or him owning that, just your thoughts on how he processed that game.
I've never heard someone take that type of responsibility. So I think that's really cool. I remember that's obviously I was covering some Notre Dame, but that's how Mike and I really got popping here is I made that breakdown on both the tackles struggling in that one. And yeah, I think there are physical limitations for Knapp of what he can do. As I've said, and I think a lot of people agree, he is truly meant to be a guard, but he's being put out there at tackle, and I think he's finding better ways. He's really not allowing many pressures. I haven't looked on PFF this past game, but he had like a 2 or 3 game stretch where he allowed 0 pressures. So I think whatever he's doing, he is a man of his word, and he's taking this serious, and I think that's incredibly commendable. So I will forever be a fan of Knapp. Mike, can you go to my Twitter real quick? I posted a video. I actually didn't put it on the tape, but I posted a Knapp highlight from the Navy game where he just takes his guy to the sideline and just dumps him. And that's one of the things I've noticed, I guess, about Knapp is just the nasty streak that he's been playing with as well, Eric. And I think that can go into it because anytime you're an offensive lineman, you're just incredibly physical and you're just trying to impose your will, it's going to make the entire game easier for you.
When did you post this?
It was during the game. It would have been during the game. If you look up on my Twitter, I guess
the defender for a ride.
Yeah, that one. Here we go. This one. I was watching this live. I jumped out of my chair. I was like, oh yeah, here we go. Left tackle. Come here.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for your service.
Wow.
See, so the thank you for your service was him not jumping on him and only just throwing him, in my opinion. I'm just saying. Listen, I'm a Navy guy too. I'm from Annapolis, Maryland. So I grew up going to Navy games, but listen, I was going for the Irish on Saturday night.
Mike, are you okay if I ask him another one about Knapp?
Go for it.
So we're talking to Joe Rudolph about Knapp, and I said, a lot of people from the outside looking in wonder why he's the left tackle or if there's a better place for him. And Joe Rudolph's explanation was, there were a couple things going on. Charles Jagaza gets hurt, and also Gerby Lambert having to have shoulder surgery in the spring, and they weren't sure when he was going to get back. In a perfect world, maybe one of those two is the left tackle, and Anthony Knapp is inside. And I thought, wow, that's a lot of shuffling around. And I know Harry Heastand did that. Is that typical of offensive line coaches? Do most guys say I'm playing the best 5, or do they say I'm playing the best left guard and the best, what I'm saying, position specific rather than being so willing to move guys around?
Yeah, so I've experienced both. From talking to other guys around college football, and obviously I'm friends with a lot of different offensive linemen that play at Michigan, Ohio State. For me at Penn State, it was I want to play the best 5. That's how our offensive line coach Trout was. I think, like I said, the thing you have to be mindful of is just the limitation. So yeah, if you want to play the best 5, that's great. But if the guard or center that you're essentially playing at tackle can't get out of his stance very well, well, that could pose some problems there. So I think that would still honestly be my number one worry. And it's still a mystery. I know you don't want to upset coaches, but I would love to know like an honest answer from Rudolph, not like a media answer. What the hell happened to Emil Wagner? Like, he's been playing good, don't get me wrong, especially this game, played really well, had a couple pancakes. He got someone slab where they spun back inside and he just destroyed someone. But like, I remember studying Wagner for last year during the playoffs when I didn't watch any Notre Dame all year, and I watched like 3 or 4 games, and I'm like, yo, this dude is legit. And I thought even, he went against Abdul Carter, who was one of the best players, in all of college football, and let up like 1 sack, but he had a pretty good day. So I don't know what it is right now with Wagner that there's been some regression, but I guess that would probably be my biggest worry for Notre Dame in the playoffs is going against some really good edge rushers, facing, a Miami, something like that. Well, I guess not Miami, but So,
Oregon has a really good defense. I don't know how good their edge guys are, but their defense is in the top 3 right now.
Yeah, because obviously that is who Notre Dame would be slated to play right now. I wouldn't call them. It's Mateo Uyunglele, who's DJ Uyunglele's little brother, defensive end. He was the Big Ten sack leader last year. Big guy, 6'5", 275, but has some pretty good moves. He's kind of cooled off so far this year. And then the other one, Tuioti, is the son of the defensive line coach there. And neither of them have like elite moves. Neither of them are a Bane or the other guy on Miami. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but they're very solid. So there would definitely be a lot thrown at that Notre Dame offensive line. But I just put out a tweet before I got on here. I'm like, if we get Notre Dame versus Oregon, oh boy, the amount of film breakdowns and shows. And I'm going to tell Mike, I'm going to be on every day. I want to do a 24-hour stream all day, every day leading up to that. That would be fantastic.
Okay, I'll go away from the offensive line. wouldn't it be something from Notre Dame recruiting lore, Dante Moore versus CJ Carr?
Holy.
Have you studied Dante Moore much this season?
He's watched a lot.
I've studied a lot. Yeah, the main team. So if anybody else, I mainly do Penn State, Notre Dame, Oregon, and then I sprinkle in a little Ohio State as well. But the other teams outside of Penn State are really Notre Dame and Oregon that I do. So I go on an Oregon show weekly as well. Actually, it's the Oregon On 3 guys, Scoop Duck. But yeah, I've studied a lot of Dante Moore. Was really hot to start the year. Came into Penn State, played a fantastic game, did a really good job not trying to be Superman in that one. It was like he did what he needed to do. And then there was a couple plays where he did need to be Superman, and he was Superman. And it was just, and the way they managed the noise, all of that was really impressive. Once he got to Indiana and played Indiana, there's been a little bit of a regression from a standpoint of he's struggling at times to read defenses, and he's not super confident, throwing some interceptions I really was not a fan of. And he's just not seeing it very well. He'll second guess himself. Like he'll have his first read open, or he'll look at his first read and he'll get off of it too quick, or he'll stay on it too long. Like there's a lot of that's going on in Dante Moore's game. He can make all the elite throws. Like don't get me like this guy is incredibly talented. If you were watching that Iowa Oregon game to finish off that game on that final drive, he threw one of the most beautiful passes I've seen, but his tape has also not been all the way there. So, I mean, CJ Carr right now, I think at the beginning of the year, people were saying, or even, game 4, game 5, people were like, I think a lot of people were saying Dante Moore was one of the best quarterbacks in college football. And that's really cooled off once he played Indiana and kind of went on, because he's taken a step back. That's for sure.
Okay. Can I follow up with this? If you were taking over as a college coach and they both were in the transfer portal, which one would you want?
CJ Carr. Okay. I'm riding my guy CJ. Now, I've never seen someone like CJ Carr look so poised, even from week 1, just right away against Miami. You just look how he looked. So I'm instantly going CJ Carr there. I'm just his ball placement, all of it. I got to go CJ Carr on that one. But like I said, this Dante Moore is uber talented. The storylines, if we get Oregon, Notre Dame, oh boy, Eric, we're gonna have a good time on that one.
Quick question: Did you have an offer from Wisconsin?
Did I? I mean, not to if I wanted one, yes, but
okay. I didn't know if Rudolph had offered you.
No, I don't think I ever really talked to Wisconsin and Rudolph. That was never. I was just so like Notre Dame and Penn State by the end that it was just kind of like a lot. It was kind of just left alone.
Yeah, you keep saying you were close to Notre Dame.
They were my number 2.
Yeah, but I feel like it was a large gap between 1 and 2.
I've said this. If Marcus Freeman was the head coach, then there would not have been nearly as large of a gap. I would have had a big decision on my hands if Marcus Freeman was the head coach, but Brian Kelly was the head coach. So as I've said many times.
You got more tape?
I got one last one that from defense, which I think we can all know what's coming right now. I'm just going to play it.
Oh, Kingston.
Bob! Oh my God. Once again, these poor midshipmen, they're just, there's that. I think so. He hits him on the 22 here, and he ends up doing a backflip to about the 17-yard line. Obviously makes the tackle along with it. Have you
seen a play like this before, dude? Like this is.
I can't remember the last time I've seen a play like this. It's true sophomore, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know this is a different level of physicality. KVA was the number 1 rated player on Notre Dame's defense from this game. Yeah, he's got to continue to play more because my God, that's some cool stuff right there.
Yeah. I think he's got first-round pick potential.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I'm excited. That's someone I'm excited to continue to watch develop because, good grief. But that is all I've got for us today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm excited for this pick game, though, guys. This is going to be fun. Same
time next week.
Eric. I'm going to watch some pit tape for you guys.
Awesome.
I just got it in, so I'm going to sit down tonight. I'm going to watch some pit tape. So I don't know, Mike. Maybe we'll get some clips. I'll get you guys some clips. I don't even know. I forget their quarterback's name, but looks pretty good. So I'm excited. Mason Heinschel. I'm excited to study him up. I was all over the Pat Narduzzi. I saw you guys talking about that. Can't believe that. I did tell the story. Pat Narduzzi came up to me. My my high school team, we would go to different camps. So we would go to Penn State every year. We go to West Virginia every year. And we go to Pitt every year and do those camps that they have. I'm sure Notre Dame has them. And I remember I'm at Pitt. This is probably 2018. And I'm standing there. And this guy comes up to me and we're talking for about 10 minutes, kind of shooting the crap. And we're having a good time. And he walks away and another assistant staffer comes up and they're like, how was it? I was talking to coach. And I'm like, who? I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, you were just talking to Coach Narduzzi. I'm like, oh, I was like, was I? And they were like, yeah, you didn't know? I was like, no. And at this time, like, I knew who Pat Narduzzi was, but I didn't know what he looked like. And he had the least amount of head coach aura that I've ever seen in my life. Like, he gave me assistant coach vibes. Like, I thought this guy, not even like a positional coach, like a true assistant coach. That's what I thought of Pat Narduzzi. Him and Brian Kelly are the two guys I actually dislike. I don't know why. Those are the two head coaches I don't like. Well, Brian Kelly, I don't know if he's really head, he's kind of.
Well, a lot of Notre Dame fans would probably agree with you right now.
So I had to share my Pat Narduzzi story, but that is all I got. Like I said, maybe I'll be on with Mike later this week, breaking down some Pitt film if you guys would be interested. Just force Mike, tell him he has to, and then I'll be on again.
I'll have my people talk to your people, have my scheduling person talk to your scheduling person. Yeah, let's definitely let's plan something either tomorrow or Thursday. I would love to put out a little Pitt centric video.
There we go.
Sounds like fun. All right, Landon, thank you very much, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, Landon Tangwell. Make sure you follow him at Landon Tangwell. Let me just pop him back up so you guys can see it on the screen there at Landon Tangwell. Make sure you guys give him a follow on Twitter. Fun show, Eric.
It was awesome.
Yeah, talking.
We got to talk CFP. We got to talk Notre Dame haters. We got to see some great film breakdown. That was awesome.
Yeah, a fun show. Next Tuesday. Okay, before we get to Tuesday, we have the 6-pack tomorrow, 5 p.m. We have, of course, Eastern time. Recruiting show Thursday, 1 p.m. Also, on our second YouTube channel with the Eric Hansen and Tyler James YouTube channel that they had when they were at the Rivals website, Inside ND Sports. They still do that channel. So their podcast is coming out on Thursday. Friday, we'll have a preview video looking at Notre Dame versus Pitt. Post-game show, I know me and Eric are going to be on there. I got to text Toma tomorrow. Actually, I'll probably text him tonight. I think Toma's going to join us as well to break down Notre Dame Pitt. Blue and Gold Roundtable Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Next Monday, Football Never Sleeps with Hansen and James. And then next Tuesday, I can't do the show as normal. I have some personal plans, Eric. I haven't even told you that yet. So either we don't do that show or we move some things around, or maybe
it's the later reveal next week.
Yeah, it's like the 8:30. So either we do something, replace it, or for the first time in like 4 years, we'll be live without Mike Singer on this channel. Which when's the last time that's happened? It's been a long time. Maybe not 4 years, but it's at least been a year or two. So I'll let you guys know. But that is going to do it for this show. A lot of fun. Hour 18 in. Yeah, if you're just tuning in, rewind, watch in the beginning. A lot of good stuff with Tyler Horka, Landon Tangwell, and of course Eric Hansen. And I was okay. Hit the thumbs up, of course. Subscribe to the channel for more content. Blueandgold.com is your home for all things Notre Dame football and recruiting coverage. Seriously, if you really enjoyed what we talked about in this video, you're going to love our website, blueandgold.com. Sign up today. $1 for 7 days is a trial. And there's also another perk to subscribe as well. So again, blueandgold.com. Check it out. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.